Hey everybody, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me today. Last week I shared a video on how to make these monoprints using Kaleidacolor inks and foliage from your yard. So I figured, why not this week we take at least one of these prints and turn it into a card. So this way you can kind of see the process and what we can do with these fabulous prints once we're done with them. So what I have to start with is this adorable stamp set from Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. It's called Tiny Frights. I think it is so cute. I love that simplistic, sketchy look to them, and I'm totally in love with this owl. I think he's just so cute. So we're going to be using that guy today. We're not making a Halloween card. We're just making a fun fall card using this fella and probably this print here. So I've shown this before in videos. This is just a piece of cardboard that I cut to have the interior measurement 4 by 5 1/4, which is what I like to make my focal panels when I'm making a card. My card sizes are A2, so they're 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but I always like to leave a bit of a border. So I use this when I have something like this, like a print or pattern paper or something, and I need to kind of isolate the area that I'm going to be working with. So this way I can kind of figure out, I don't like these colors quite as much. I prefer having a little bit more purple, or I want this foliage in here, etc. So it just makes my life a little easier when I'm just trying to figure out exactly what space I want to work with on a piece of paper. So originally I was thinking that I would work with this area here because I really like this, but then I'm losing my fern. So I'm thinking that we're going to kind of go more with this area, and then this strip I can use at a later date. So I need to trim off this excess here just because there's a little bit of white there at the top, and then this area here because there's some white down here, and I might cut into it a little bit. But I think that we're going to go with that. I like the neutrality of this one. I love this print, but I think that it's not quite the right feel for what I'm going for today. So I'm going to move that off to the side. I've got my trimmer here. We're going to just cut this down a little bit just to remove that white edge on those two sides. And then we can cut it down to the proper size that we need for our card panel. There we go. That's pretty good. A little bit more on the top there. Just a bit. I don't want to waste any of the panel. So I'm going to bring this to 5. Cut that off. And then I'm going to bring this to 4. Perfect. Sorry, that first cut was 5 1/4, not 5. So now I've got these scraps. I can leave them off to the side. We'll use them at another time. I like making cards that have strips on them, like strips of excess paper. I've done a video on that before. Also, if you didn't check out my video from last time, I encourage you to watch it, and I'll have it linked below. Okay, so now we've got this. We know that this is our card front, and now we've got this fella. We're going to color him in. And I also grabbed, there's some sweet foliage in here, but I thought, you know what? Let's add some dimension. This is very flat. He's going to be flat. Let's add some more texture and stuff. So I have this Sizzix die set. Again, this is Tim Holtz. It's called Funky Foliage. And I pulled out a bunch of the foliage, and this is what I have. Not sure which ones we're going to use just yet. I'm going to color our owl first. But we have a few nifty things happening here, and I thought that they would be fun to kind of ground him a little bit instead of having him just floating around. So we're going to do that. I'm going to pull him off. I'm going to grab a block, and we're going to stamp him onto some smooth Bristol cardstock with Memento ink because I'm going to color him with Copics. I'm excited to use this set. This is the first stamp I've used from this set. I did a haul video when I received these things. I got this and a few other stamp sets, a couple of other Tim Holtz goodies, but this is the first thing I'm getting to use, so I'm excited. Okay. We're going to keep it really simple with the coloring. So I've got a few markers. We've got E41, E43, E59, and E57, and that's all I plan on using for this. Let me zoom in. This way you can see what I'm doing. I smudged them a little bit. That's okay. I'm going to fussy cut them anyway. So It's all good. Okay. Let us start with the lighter shades. I'm going to start with my E41. And we're going to do the face area. Oh, I really smudged that. I'm going to have to restamp this. Let's restamp and heat set off camera. Okay, all better. We have restamped, and I used my heat tool to dry it up. I had just re-inked that pad, so I guess it was juicier than I had anticipated, so it's all right though. We're just going to color this area, and then we're going to add a little bit of shading, nothing too crazy. It's a very simplistic stamp, so I don't want to make crazy coloring happen. It's unnecessary with this fella. Just going around the head here like that. Oops. A little bit under the beak. And then we'll blend it out with that 41, just using some circular motion. Just so that there's a bit of interest there. And we can add a color to the beak. I haven't quite decided if I want to do that yet. I might. Okay, so now I've got E57. I keep opening the wrong end. I thought that these shades of brown and kind of beige, cream, tan would work for the print that we're working with today. If you decided to try out what I did last week with the Kaleidacolor ink pads, or maybe you have another type of ink pad that has like that ombre effect happening, or various colors on one pad, and you made some prints, I'd love to see them. It's always fun to see what people do when they're inspired by somebody else's project. It's always fun to see that. Okay, just bringing this down, bringing that up. I think his beak should be a different color. Let me grab a color. Here is YR23. That's perfect. Okay, I'm going to fussy cut him off screen, and then we'll come back to getting the card made. I finished up with Little Owl, and here's a little trick. So these legs are really tiny and fiddly. So when I fussy cut them, I made them wider than they actually are on the stamp. And to fix that, I just used my Pitt pen and a brush tip, because I'm going to go around the edges anyway to get a clean finished look. So I just widened the legs and the feet a little bit, and it just made them a little less finicky. So that's what I did there. And then I went and die cut a bunch of foliage from the Funky Foliage die set. More than I'm going to wind up using, but I figured, why not? Let's just have a little extra. Cut 2 of these, for example. This is just some brown cardstock. I used various shades of green. I even pulled out some old basic gray paper. I thought that would be kind of fun to work with. So we're going to glue these together. So that's my focal piece here. And then I'm going to use the basic gray paper for the other parts of the leaves. This is all on one die, so you just kind of cut the whole thing out twice, and then you can use the reverse at another time. So let me zoom in again. Let's move these out of the way so that you can see what I'm doing here. Got this guy too I've got to put together. I'm trying to keep them in order, because that's how it's laid out on the die. You could see here on this one that it shows you exactly which leaf goes where. Okay. Grab my glasses so that I can really see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. I need my pokey tool. Not pokey tool, this thing. What is this called, guys? Yeah, I've lost the word. It's like a jewel picker, but it's got wax on the end for picking things up. I'm sure many of you have something like this. Works pretty well. that is not the right one. There we go. That's correct. I must have reversed them. Put this here. You don't need a lot of glue, but obviously you want it to stay in place. This is a little fiddly, but it's not too bad. It could be a lot worse. And if you don't want to use these layers, you don't have to. You can just, you know, throw that part out. I think that's really cute though. Okay, let's do this one. I cut it a little off because the way this die is, see they're joined like the other one, and I just didn't move my basic gray paper over enough, but I'll probably wind up tucking it behind something anyway, so it'll be fine. This is a fairly heavyweight cardstock, so this is not falling apart the way some of the other ones do, but I'll just work on it and get it removed. All right, so I got that fiddly bit done. I should have done that before I started filming, but that's okay. It's gonna just hang out like that. And then I have this bit here. Oh, that shifted on me. See, this is why I don't work with fiddly dies, because I mess them up. It's all right. We're good. I just wanted that stem to be in the right spot because that would have made me crazy. Okay, so now I have this. This is all, again, one piece, but I don't want the stem to be this color. So I'm going to use the E57 that I used earlier. I've got it still in that piece of paper, the cardstock that it's from, and I'm going to just go over it with my Copic. I don't care if this is not really a Copic friendly paper. It doesn't matter because I'm not going to do any blending. I'm just coloring this in because I don't want it to be this shade. And yes, I could just cut it out of brown, but this is just another option. And whatever pieces I don't use today, I'm just going to save in the envelope with the dies so that I have them for another time. There we go. Now we can add our foliage to this, like that. Is that how this goes? Yep, I think so. So we'll start with this here. Pop that on there like that, sorta. I feel like it doesn't have to be perfect. And then we'll do this one. This is really cute. I don't think that I've used this particular die before. I've used this set a bunch of times. Whoops. But I haven't used this die. I use the mushrooms a lot. This is really cute though. Okay. Get this last one on here. And then we can start arranging stuff. Perfect. Let me zoom out. A little bit more. This way you guys can see what I'm doing. There we go. All right. So we've got our little hooty hoot. We're going to need some type of sentiment at some point as well. And you see he's cute, but he's just floating there. So we don't want him to float there. So we need some grounding. So I think that by putting him with some of this foliage, and I was thinking that I would go like this just to give it kind of a shadow layer. Yeah, let's do that. I think that that looks good. I wasn't sure if I was going to use them separately, together, or if at all, but I think that giving it a shadow layer would be nice. So we're just going to offset it a little bit This glue dries clear, so we don't need to go too crazy. See, that's cute. And we're going to have to fiddle with this a little bit, but I actually think that that whole thing is kind of cute. This is getting a little lost to me. So I think that we need to do something to kind of give it some more oomph. So let's do that. I grabbed a G94 Copic, and we're going to just add some color to the edges here of this. I just don't think it's standing out enough. But I don't want to remove that light color completely because I do like it. This is just really rough around the edges, just so that it stands out a little bit more. Can you guys believe that Thanksgiving is next week if you're in the US? I can't. I don't know where October went, let alone November. Okay. That's better. It's still a little lost though. I'm thinking that I want to add maybe a piece of vellum here or something. I also don't like how symmetrical this is looking. I don't really want it, you know, there's 2 on one side and 2 on the other. All right, I'm going to fiddle with this a little bit. I keep saying fiddle. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to need a new word for the day. I'm going to play with this a little bit, get the orientation a little bit better so that you're not here for 15 minutes watching me mess around with this. I've got an arrangement that I think I like. We're not going to be using this guy, unfortunately, but that's okay. Again, I'll save it. And I'm thinking that I want to use this circle die. And I have this cool piece of vellum that already has foliage on it. I have no idea where it's from. It's so old. I think it might be older than my daughter. So forgive me for not being able to link it. But I think that even though this is not wide enough, it doesn't matter because I'd rather have the circle hang over the edge anyway. So I'm going to die cut this and see how that works. Okay, so we're just going to eyeball this and see how it looks. And I really like that. So this will get cut off here. I think that's really cute. Might actually bring it down a little further. But I think that that's going to help keep that standing out a bit. So now what we're going to do is grab some press and seal, and I'm going to pick this up. I guess it doesn't need to stick because it's not ready anyway. Okay, so I'm going to glue these to the vellum, and then I will have a place for the glue to go behind the vellum so that it'll stick to the card. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So first, we're going to glue these bad boys together. And I'm off screen, so let me move this up for you. Move this off to the side. I might have to add some additional glue. Just kind of getting into these little crevices here so that everything sticks. And I'm going to move this over a little bit, like that. I think that that's going to be cute. So now we've glued all of our pieces at once. Yeah, I think that that works. Okay. So now I'm going to glue where the elements are so that you don't see it through the vellum. Because, you know, it's hard to adhere vellum well, right? Okay. I'll have a little excess to cut off, and that's just fine. That's what I intended. Okay. Ah, it's so cute. See, that breaks it up just a little bit. Okay, so we're going to cut this off and cut this off. Trim this down. That's adorable. What a cutie. Okay, we need a sentiment and our card base. I grabbed one of my most used sentiment dies. This is the Painted Hello from Simon. I use this so much because you can always send a hello card. It doesn't matter what the season is or what's going on. Hello is perfect. And I cut it twice, once out of the same brown cardstock I used earlier, and then out of a metallic gold. And that is going to go right here, just like that, which is adorable. I get this on here. I'm using Barely Arts glue for everything today, by the way. Okay, let's get this on here. And with the vellum, you really don't see the foliage that was printed on there, but it's okay. It's fine. That's so cute. Okay, I've got a card base, and you know I can't leave it white, so now we need to figure out what we're going to do with that. I'm going to break out the dark brown shimmer Delicata ink. I haven't used this one in a while. If you need a metallic ink pad, the gold and the silver are insane. They are the most beautiful gold and silver ink pads ever. I love them. You don't want to heat emboss with them, even though they are pigment, because you'll lose some of the shimmer. But man, the whole collection is lovely, but the gold and the silver are just super dynamic and beautiful. And I think that you can see that shimmer. Isn't that pretty? So nice. There's a blue, there's a red, there's a green. There's no purple, though. I wish there was a purple. There's a copper, champagne, rose gold. It's a nice collection of colors. But again, no purple. I like that. That looks good. And this was done on copy paper. Again, if you watched my video last week, you saw that. If you feel like that's not heavy enough, you can totally back this with a, regular cardstock just to give it some more body and strength and all of that. But we're just going right to the card base. I don't really feel like it's necessary to add another piece there. That's Crooked Owl. This is what happens when I try to look through my camera while I'm doing this. Don't do that. Okay, how cute is that? That's fun. So now we've used one of our prints from last week. We used a new stamp set. We used some dies, some ink that we had to dust off a little bit. But man, this is cute. I'm digging it. I hope you did too. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll be back with another video real soon. And again, if you make any monoprints like I did last week, I'd love to see them. So let me know. I'll see you all real soon. Be well. Stay safe. Peace out.